welcome back into another episode of Bronco and the Pig. As always, it is your host and co-host, Delaney. How are you feeling? It is hot everywhere
Mhm.
in like record-breaking temperatures in like Vegas, Death Valley, Palm Springs around us. What's it like in Orange County? Is it just insane?
Honestly, it's not unbearable. I'm not going out and, doing all this stuff, but it's not too bad all the time.
That's good. It's San Diego. It's up there. Like you said, it's not unbearable, but it's
Yeah.
it's it's cooking a little bit. Well, the high temperatures just mean that it's the heart of summer, which means, there's a lot going on in sports, especially in 2024 with well, you got the baseball season. The All-Star game is next week. The MLB draft is on Sunday. You have the Olympics that will start in 2 weeks. There's also the Euros and the Copa America soccer tournaments that are finishing up here. But as always, we have a bunch of extra curricular things going on. But we like to start every episode off with the weekly stories. Now, we don't have as many this week because we're just going to dive into each sport more specifically a little bit, especially baseball, just because there's so much going on with baseball. But uh, the first story has to be the Olympics. And last episode, we talked about the Olympics as a whole, summer versus
Mhm.
winter. But each week, we're going to break down a little bit more. So this week, we're going to do track and field. Next week, we'll do all the swimming events, all the pool events. And then after that, the Olympics is going to get started. And we're going to do a special episode with our gymnastics expert. Um, so, but to start off, we're going to talk about track and field. Now, track and field is a little, I have to say, it's not as hyped, I think,
Yeah.
as some of the other sports. Would you say so? Like, where would you say track and field ranks as far as, like
Mm.
people excited about? Because people are excited about gymnastics with Simone Biles, things like that.
Yeah.
The USA basketball, that's always a big excitement. Swimming's a big one. So where would you say track and field is on the scale in the Olympics realm?
I would definitely say, middle of the pack. Um, for me, there's so many sports out there that just, no one talks about, and I normally see stuff about the track and field, I've been seeing the trials and all this stuff. So I would kinda say, middle of the pack, definitely.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. The I feel bad because the track and field events, a lot of them get lost in like the the hype of the Olympics. Things
Mhm.
like long jump and high jump, and then all the throwing events, the javelin, the shot put.
Yeah.
I don't know what they call the one where they spin around, they throw it with
Oh,
it's like a
yeah. I have no
it's like a
idea.
ball on a rope or something like
Mhm.
that. I don't know what it's called, but track and field is definitely one of those that you know people do talk about the racing. I think more than the field events. So
I
you
agree.
talk about like the 100-meter dash, with Usain Bolt with Jamaica, and then like the relay race. Everybody talks about the relay race and how the USA like needs to step it up a little bit. This is To be honest, track and field is uh, a struggling event for the U.S. in my
Mm.
opinion. I think it's their weakest point when it comes to the Summer Olympics. But we do have some stars that have joined in. So one of the names is Shakari Richardson, who got in trouble for smoking weed last time.
Yep.
Uh, but she made it. She's in. Noah Lyles is the big men's name, but there's a name that I want to throw out there. His name is Quincy Hall. He is 17 years old, and he's
That's just
he's
insane.
he's in high school. And I got to tell you, this episode is we're gonna be talking about a lot of young cats that are just super gifted.
Yeah.
So Quincy Hall, still in high school, made the Olympic team. Will be running for the USA in various events.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't know if you saw his Olympic trial run, but it
Yeah.
looked like he wasn't trying. Like it looked like he was just kind of like,
Like
like
going for a
jogging.
jog.
Yeah, the dude is fast. He's not very tall, but he's fast as hell. So
Mhm.
there's some big names, and obviously, Jamaica is very good when it comes to the sprinting events. Kenya, the African countries are also very good when it comes to the marathon, the long distance events. Um, how do you think the U.S. is going to do in Paris in track and field? Do you think we get a couple medals?
I would think so. I definitely think we talked about, like, the track events, and, like, popularity. I haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure there is a new Netflix documentary about the star USA track and field athletes.
Okay.
So I think that would get people more excited, um, to watch these athletes in the Olympics. But I do think that the USA will at least something. They got to get at least one medal. And I
Yeah,
hope
I
it's a guy who's 17. I
yeah,
hope he gets it.
I that would be awesome. I have to agree. I think the US will win one or two. I know that they just in general the track and field, like we said, is not their strongest suit. It's definitely the swimming and the team sports and things like that. So we'll see. We'll see how we do. I'm trying to think positive here and say the U.S. will win gold across the board, but yeah, it's impossible. It's inevitable that
Yeah.
someone beats them. So I would love, like you said, I would love to see Quincy Hall do something cool and win a medal, or Noah Lyles, who deserves it, to win a gold. The one event that I enjoy watching is the relay, the sprint. The I don't even know. It's
The
like one lap.
baton, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
one lap around the track, and there's four guys.
Mhm.
That one's fun to watch just because it's a team aspect a little bit. And then obviously the 100-meter dash. You want to see who the fastest person in the world is. The last For the last 12 years or whatever, it's been Usain Bolt. So track and field, I don't know the exact date as when it kicks off, but it is a major part of the Olympics, and it's probably honestly it's probably the most the oldest part
Yeah.
of the Olympics, just in general. You go back to the Roman times and stuff. So the Olympics kicks off July 20, I believe it's 26 is opening ceremonies. So like I said, next week we will literally dive into the pool events. There's a lot of them: swimming, diving, water polo, things like that. And that'll be our Olympic breakdown for next week. Now, speaking of the U.S., as we move along here,
Mhm.
I know a lot of the US isn't big soccer fans, but I feel like it has grown a little bit in the last 10 years. USA soccer is very disappointing when it comes to the national team. So they lost to Uruguay. This was last week. They lost to Uruguay, um, and it knocked them out of the Copa America tournament. They didn't even make it to the knockout stage, which is disappointing. Now there was a lot of blame on the referee that the officiating wasn't very good. Did you
Yeah.
watch the game at all, or did you see some highlights or anything?
I saw videos of interactions after the game, with the referees. Like, I believe it was a US player. He, like, went up to the referee and, like, went to go shake his hand,
Yeah.
and he just kinda
To be
stood there.
fair, so it was Christian Pulisic, the superstar for the U.S. men's national team. He went up to shake the referee's hand. He shook the first guy's hand. The middle guy, the main ref, didn't shake his hand, and Pulisic basically told him to f off. Um,
Mhm.
to be fair, Pulisic did tell him that he should go celebrate with Uruguay as they celebrate on the field, because he was basically part of
Rooting
the
for them.
team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so that was a big story. The U.S., the controversy with the officiating, the referee, regardless of how you look at it, the U.S. still lost. They
Yeah.
still played terribly. They had 10 dudes. The whole tournament was just in shambles from the beginning. It's just so disappointing because the U.S. holds himself so highly when it comes to athletics. NFL, the U.S. The NBA team or the U.S. national team for basketball,
Mhm.
that's going to the Olympics, the Dream Team, and all those crazy things. When it comes to soccer, the U.S. is the laughing stock of national soccer because
Yeah.
we pour so much effort and so much money and time and all this crap into the men's national team. Yet we have never once even come close to like looking good.
Mhm.
We never, ever, ever, ever. The women's side is dominant. Women's
Yeah.
U.S. national team dominant.
I feel like they're always pretty good, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're
Yeah.
always number one or number two. But when it comes to the men's, it's just not even. We're not even in the realm. I don't even think we're in
Mhm.
the top 30,
Yeah.
which is pretty bad. But big news happened yesterday. So the U.S. national team coach, the head coach, Greg Berhalter, was fired.
Mhm.
So now we don't have a coach as a national team. So I think that's step one. So the question is, how do we move forward? If you're in charge of the national team, how are we moving forward to make this better? Delaney, how would you what's
Uh,
step number one?
Honestly, I have no idea. I think what I would do, granted, I don't think I've ever seen the US team play. I would scrap everyone on the roster, start brand new. I
Really?
would pull a little bit of like a Ted Lasso, if you may. Just like try to I have no idea. I think I would like fall into the Ted Lasso mindset and that
Yeah.
we're just there to have fun and make friends and all that
Be a
stuff.
little loose, be a little looser, not as
Yeah.
strict. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a bad idea. I mean, I think step one, you got to find who your coach is going to be. And here's my problem is I feel like every 4 years they try a new coach. They say, "All right, you did bad in the World Cup. You did bad in Copa America. You're not. It's like we're firing you."
Yeah.
I think you need to find a coach, regardless of how you do, and you need to give him 10 years and say, he's our guy. No matter how
Mhm.
bad the team is, we're gonna ride with him for 10 years. Let him build it from the base.
Ground up, yeah.
It's hard as a former athlete. I can't even imagine going from one coach to another every couple of years. Just like a whole different play style, different teammates, different
Mhm.
philosophy. It's just, in my opinion, like you got to keep, if you're going to be bad, start bad and work your way up with the
Yeah.
same group, the same coach, the same team, the same players, all this stuff, the same training staff. You work as a team and you get better as you go up.
Yeah, I agree.
You take two steps forward and you say, "Oh, we suck. Let's retry." And you take two steps back. You're going nowhere. That's
Mhm.
my opinion. I think the U.S. team could be great. We have some great athletes and some good players. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes. But we'll talk about Copa America and the Euros in a little bit. Now, next on the agenda is Mr. John Cena, who announced his retirement from the WWE
Mhm.
a couple days ago, or yeah, a couple days ago. What are your thoughts on Mr. John Cena and his unbelievable wrestling career? This doesn't mean he's done from anything. He's just
Yeah.
done from wrestling.
I'm honestly shocked he did it for this long. Like, I have no idea how old he is, but I can only imagine, like, what it's doing to his body. I did think I don't know, the video of him announcing his retirement, like, in the arena, I thought was kind of funny. Um, but honestly, good for him. I'm curious if we'll see him, like, more go, like, the Rock route and more, like, acting, I
Yeah,
don't know, in the media, I guess.
well, that's a good point. So who would you say is bigger, not physically, but just
In general?
bigger in general, is The Rock or Cena? I mean, I have my opinion, but
I mean, I think John Cena was better at WWE, but I think The Rock has made a bigger career out of it.
So far, and yes, I agree. I think The Rock and Cena both were in the WWE for a very long time, and both have been immensely successful in that part of their career. Cena, way bigger in the WWE realm, way
Yeah,
bigger in my opinion. The Rock is a legend, but Cena is like the face of WWE for the past however many years.
yeah,
When it comes to the acting realm, The Rock definitely. I think because he's been in more stuff and he's been in the acting game a lot longer than Cena has. And it's kind of the same with Dave Bautista, who's now kind of jumping into the acting game as well. Uh, but Cena's getting there. Cena's been in quite.
mhm,
If you really look at it, he's been in quite a bit. And the problem is that he's so big, like such a big person, same with The Rock, that like he has to have specific roles in stuff.
yeah.
Like he can't like he's not very versatile when it comes to like, oh, he can play this character and he can play this character. It's like he's got to be that one
It's like
specific thing.
a role has to be made for them.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
like, even with The Rock, I know he just announced that he's doing, like, the new Moana movie, and I don't know if you've seen it, but, like, his fictional character is
Yeah,
built like The Rock.
yeah. Because
So
that's just how his voice it fits his voice, it
mhm,
fits like his personality, like yeah, I mean one of The Rock's biggest movies was with Kevin Hart and like Jumanji. He plays
mhm,
this huge guy, right? He plays this like the big strong character in the video
yeah,
game or whatever. So it's like you have I feel bad because I want them to be successful, but it's very limited success.
exactly.
Um, But they've both become huge. They're A-list celebrities now. Like anybody,
Mhm,
like they walk down the street, everybody's going to stop and say something. Like it's just one of those
exactly.
people. But congratulations to John Cena and a great WWE career. I would not be surprised if he makes like a special guest appearance on like,
Like a celebrity one.
yeah, like a Royal Rumble or like a WrestleMania kind of random out of the blue thing,
That would be cool.
just to not to come out of retirement, but to do something special for the fans. I would not be surprised.
They should do
Um,
a celebrity one where John Cena and The Rock fight again. But in like it has to be in a little bit, like in like I would say 5-ish years.
yeah.
They go head to head.
Well, Cena and The Rock have fought many times. Like that's like been a big
No, I
rivalry in
know that,
WWE.
but I just think it would be even better once they're like gone and
Uh,
then like one gets announced and they're fighting and then the other gets announced. You know
yeah.
what I'm
See,
saying?
you know what I could see is like in the Royal Rumble when they have like 30 guys all in one, and then all of a sudden Cena comes running out, and then The Rock comes running out, and they like
And
team
just
up, and they like,
knock out.
yeah, yeah, knock them all out. Yeah. That's what I see happening. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it needs to be, like you said, it needs to be a couple years, like 3 or 4 years before that happens. But I'm sure it will. I'm sure, they love it. They're gonna
Yeah.
do it. So, all right. Well, you mentioned a Netflix special on track and field athletes. Well, the Netflix just released their new show called Receiver. So it's like kind of like a little different uh, or it's the same show as Quarterback when they follow
Mhm.
Patrick Mahomes and Kirk Cousins and a couple others,
Yes.
and now they're following some of the receivers specifically. Um,
That would be pretty cool. I
yeah,
really
so
liked the quarterback one, so
yeah,
I'll definitely watch this.
they did really well on the quarterback one. There's definitely some big personalities on the receiver one. George Kittle being
Okay.
the main one. He's the tight end for the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay.
He's wild. Like he just you can't believe he's a real person. He's so out there and just so crazy. But it is a cool documentary. I definitely suggest watching it. But the big one, and it dropped 2 weeks ago, and now we're 2 episodes in. Max's Hard Knocks is following the
Mhm.
New York Giants this week or this year. The Giants and they're doing it a little different this year than they've done in the past. where they're following the Giants early on preseason stuff. So they're talking about free agency. They're talking about the general managers,
Oh,
making trades and the draft and things like that. It is, if you haven't watched the first two episodes, go watch them because it is
okay.
so interesting and it's so cool. And you hear, it's like they set up like a secret camera in the corner of the room that just in the general manager's office, and they're
And
all
they're like,
mic'd up. Yeah, and they're talking about like money and guys and, oh, we could go out and get this guy. Look at the market on this guy. What about this guy? Let's trade
uh-huh.
this. It is very fascinating if you're into that stuff. And it kind of shows the behind the scenes of how crazy it is to, deal with trading and free agency and money, and it is impressive and
Mhm.
very, very good. So the Giants, I'm sure preseason's starting to ramp up a little bit, so these next episodes are probably going to be a little bit more about, the camp like normal. But the last
Yeah.
couple have been about the general manager stuff. So definitely go
That's
watch it.
really cool though. Did
And
I
then,
make this up? Are they doing one about the Ravens?
so I was just going to say that.
Okay.
So they're doing one mid-season. So in the middle of the season, they're going to do a Hard Knocks season where they have
Uh-huh.
episodes, and it's focused on the AFC North, which is the Ravens, the Bengals, the Steelers, and the Browns, those four teams.
Okay.
So I'm sure the Ravens will be a big part of it. They're probably going to focus on whoever's doing well as opposed to whoever's doing poorly, and the Ravens are supposed to be one of the better teams, but we'll see.
Mhm.
Um, So yeah, but you are right. They are moving along in
Yeah.
the middle of the season, Hard Knocks. All right, Lenny, that concludes our weeklies. What's your matchup of the week?
This one is a little different. So, on the 4th of July, I decided to watch the hot dog eating contest.
Oh, you watched it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did. Um, First of all, I hated it. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't like what I'm seeing at all, but it was interesting. So the guy who won, I believe his name is Nick. I don't know if you heard about this, but people are saying that he cheated. So, from my understanding, the way the hot dogs are counted, it's based off trays, like how many empty trays you have. Apparently, people say that they saw him after the match, like moving around the trays. Um, but he denied that he cheated. So that was really interesting.
Okay. How many
And
did he
all,
eat? How many did he eat?
oh gosh, I don't know. I could look it up. But I wanted to talk about, I don't know his name, so you have to
Jo-
bear with me.
Joey
But
Chestnut?
no, I think he's Asian.
Oh,
The other guy, he's really
yeah.
good.
I can't remember his name either.
Okay, well, him, I believe, is he Asian? He was doing all these eating competitions over in Asia, like competing over there.
Yeah.
He came to the US to do the hot dog eating contest, and when he entered the contest and it started, that was the first time he ever tried a hot dog.
Oh,
Isn't
really?
that crazy? I
Yeah.
had no idea. And I'm like, could you imagine?
Having to stuff him down? That's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, that's pretty wild. I can't remember his name. I know who you're talking about, but yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know that was the first time he'd ever eaten a hot dog.
Like, could you imagine the first one? He like takes a little bite. And he's like, "Oh, this is pretty good," and then starts just shoving them in his face.
But what if he didn't like it?
I don't know.
That
I
would
don't know.
suck. Yeah. All right. Well, I think it was something like he ate like 50 something, or
Mhm.
I don't
Oh,
remember. But that's awesome. I can't believe you watched it. That's gross. I
yeah.
I I found out that Joey Chestnut, the goat, he broke a
Mhm.
record. He ate 200 Buffalo Wild Wings boneless wings, like the boneless
Uh-huh.
ones, in 30 minutes. Broke the record.
That's insane. I do think those boneless wings will be easier than hot dogs, though.
Oh, me too. Yeah, because they're not very big, but
No,
easier. I,
but
I I don't know what
good for
flavor.
him.
I don't I don't
Oh
know
yeah.
I don't know what flavor I could do that much in. All right, let's go sport by sport here. The NFL and the NBA, there was some news. With the NFL, they suspended Cameron Sutton for 8 games for violating the personal policy, whatever they call it. I don't know exactly what he did. Um, Dak Prescott, the quarterback for the Cowboys, was seen at training camp in a walking boot, and then devastating news and just tragic news. The Vikings rookie Kyrie Jackson was killed in a car crash. This was a couple weeks ago. Just terrible. You don't like to see news like that. That's just awful. Um, Moving on to the NBA, there was a lot of movement. I'm just going to name the biggest names that have moved. There's a whole bunch of people that are upset because, guys are getting absurd amount of money. There's a lot of, obviously, LeBron James's son has, surfaced as the topic of discussion. But that's a whole another story. Anyways, but the NBA, Klay Thompson, he went to the Mavericks. DeMar DeRozan went to the Kings. Chris Paul went to the Spurs. Paul George went to the Sixers, and DeJounte Murray went to the Pelicans. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of other names out there. I don't really follow the NBA very closely, so I just I'm just gonna list the biggest names in the sport that moved. All right, the Euros and Copa America. Now, I said we will watch it or talk about it a little bit. We're going to talk about the Euros first, okay? So on Sunday at 12 o'clock, Spain will be playing England for the Euro Championship. We had talked about 2024 being the year of the favorite. Well, England was a favorite to win it.
Mhm.
Spain was one of the top bet, but they weren't the favorite. Spain looks incredible. Now,
Mm.
I'm rooting for England because England hasn't won a championship in many years, and they are diehards. I don't know if you see the videos, but
Mhm.
like the entire nation is a party right now just because they're in the championship. Okay, but England's got to watch out for this young man, Lamine Yamal. He is the Spain center forward, and he is 16 years old. He's 16.
Oh my God.
Did you see the video I sent you of him scoring the goal
I
on Monday, I think it was?
no, I saw the video, but I didn't realize he was that young.
He's 16 and he is incredible. He is he is unbelievable to watch, and
Oh my
all
gosh.
he might win player of the tournament. That's how good he's been. Min Yamal, remember that name. He is the Spanish center forward. He is number 19. So if you watch the game, look for number 19. He's this tall,
Mhm.
skinny kid. He's got braces. When they zoom in on his face, he looks 16. Like he looks like a child, and he is just dominating people. He is so good. There is a photo of him that went viral of Lionel Messi holding him as a baby. He's
Oh,
Leo Messi, like I guess somehow
Met.
met him or whatever, is holding him as a baby, so they think he's like some god. Like Spain is freaking out about this kid. We'll see how good he go, like how far and how good he becomes. But right now, he's doing things that no kid has ever done. Like even Leo Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, they didn't start until they were 18. This
Mhm.
kid is 16 and dominating, and I can't wait to watch him on Sunday. Now, moving on from the Euros to Copa America, Argentina will play Colombia on Sunday evening at 6 o'clock. So you have both championship games on Sunday. One at 12. The Copa America final is at 6 p.m. West Coast time. So Argentina, Colombia, Uruguay was last night. As I said, we always record on Thursday. We posted on Friday. Colombia and Uruguay was last night, and it turned into a slugfest. The
Yeah.
Copa America tournament is just they are at each other's throats. It is the Uruguay players getting a fight with some of the fans. I know you brought up like a couple months ago you brought up the Malice in the Palace when Ron Artest went swinging. This looked a lot like that. I mean, yeah,
Mhm. I was just gonna say that. Like, when I first saw the
Yep.
video and the
So
players
yeah,
running up into the fans, that's immediately what I first thought of. Um, it's just crazy. I don't understand how it could get to that point. I'm curious because I've only seen, like, clips.
yeah.
I know in a little bit, like,
Well,
the
so
full background
what's
story
bad
will
for
probably
Uruguay,
come
and
out,
I mean, I
so I'm
guess
curious
Uruguay
to see
lost,
that.
so it doesn't really hurt them that much. But it was their best player that went up into the stands and was fighting fans, Colombia fans, whatever. Like you said, we don't know the whole story. There's a lot of fans that go too far, as we've talked about. But I'm nervous now that Darwin Nunez, the
Mhm.
star stud,
Yeah.
is gonna face some repercussions. And you got the World Cup coming up in 2 years. You know, who are they gonna
Yeah.
what's FIFA gonna do about him going in the stands and fighting fans, like physically fighting?
Will he be punished? So,
Uh,
because they
I
lost,
believe they have to
are they
play
playing games anymore
like a
until the World
consolation
Cup?
game
Definitely,
on
right?
Saturday. Obviously he's not playing in that, but
Okay.
they do play various international games. Nothing
Yeah.
competitive. Actually, they'll have one tournament next year that they'll play in, and then they have World Cup qualifying.
I'm just do you really think his I think he should be punished, suspended, whatever they need to do.
Well,
I think he deserves it. But will it last all the way to the World Cup, or do you
well,
think
this
they
is
will
where soccer
punish
gets a
him
little tricky, is
only for the
because
World Cup?
so all these guys that are playing on their national team, that's controlled by FIFA. So FIFA controls international soccer, right? They are the ones that determine who qualifies,
Yeah.
you know, disciplining players, disciplining teams. I mean, you saw the I think it was the Uruguay coach got suspended for one game because he was he was late or something like that. So he didn't coach against USA when they played. So FIFA's in charge of all of that when it comes to international play.
Mhm.
So because FIFA doesn't have that much time of games, so you have like the World Cup, you have Euros, you have Copa America, you have World Cup qualifying, you have uh, a couple other tournaments here and there, CONCACAF and UEFA. I they might say you're suspended for this
Mhm.
many games, and that could be up to the World Cup. Like if they say you're suspended for 10 FIFA games, yeah, he's gonna go back. I think he plays for Liverpool in England.
Wow.
He'll go back and he'll play for Liverpool like if nothing happened, because that's on them and that's on the Premier League. when
Yeah, for
when
them.
when it comes to international play, they could say, "Oh, you're suspended for 10 games." That could be 1 or 2 World Cup games. Like you don't know. It all depends on how many games they're playing over the course of the year. They don't play that many
Okay.
international
I
games.
understand.
So I don't know if I don't know what the punishment will be. He'll definitely be
Mhm.
punished. I mean, they could just say, "Oh, you're suspended for a year," but okay, like yeah, it doesn't really affect anything. So but yes, Argentina,
Doesn't
Uruguay, and
really,
again,
yeah.
2024, the year of the favorite. Argentina is the heavy
I see.
favorite to start the tournament because they just won the World Cup. And look at them, they're in the final. And Lionel Messi will lead the charge into the final game. All right, now baseball. Now baseball is there's a lot going on with baseball because the All-Star game is next week. They have officially announced the Home Run Derby, so we're going to talk about the Home Run Derby a little bit. But real quick, just some news. Royce Lewis went on the IL with some soreness in his groin. Luis Rengifo now is on the IL. Tyler Glass now is on the IL. And then the big one was Wander Franco has officially been charged with sexual assault on a minor. So Wander Franco's done. His career is over with. Uh, Such a shame. He's only like 19 years old, but you do bad things, you get bad. There's bad consequences. So now the MLB All Star teams, the reserves were announced last week. There's a lot of talk saying that some guys got on the All-Star team that shouldn't have been, and then there's some guys that should have made the All-Star team that didn't make it. Did you were there any names that stuck out for you that made the All-Star team here, like
Mhm.
that you're excited to see in an All-Star uniform?
I mean,
Yeah.
to be honest, I'm looking at the list right now. I don't know half of
Nope.
these people. I see Will Smith, and I know that's not the Will Smith I'm thinking of. Um, I don't understand why they do this, honestly, because the MLB is always talking about. Remember a while ago we talked about the pitching clock and all these players getting hurt because they're playing too much and they're throwing too many pitches and they're doing all this stuff.
Yes,
Like,
I agree. You know,
isn't that what they're doing right now with the All-Star
there's
team?
definitely some like people that would say, you know, we don't want you to get hurt, you, we don't want you to get tired or whatever. Like we want you to,
Yeah,
win games. Yeah, be healthy. You're the best player. The best players. Uh,
be healthy.
with the All-Star game, I think it's more of a traditional thing now.
Mhm.
That you like, it's just known to be, it's the All-Star. It's the All-Star game. Like that's just what they do. I also think, oh yeah, and it's such an honor to
Yeah.
make it.
I
Like it's
bet
such a
I
like
bet they get
a big thing.
excited, but I don't
Um,
know.
and I think now they use it as a true, measurement almost, like how good someone is in their career. How many times did they make the All-Star team? How many times were they selected? How many times did they start? How many, it's kind of a way
Mhm.
to acknowledge those that are really good and those that have had a good year. Uh, give them something, and it's a really cool
Mhm.
thing for the fans. My thing is that they seem, and this happens every year, that they seem to miss on the selections. Like some players get on and some players don't deserve it. The big one right now that people are pissed off about is Pete Alonso, the first baseman for the Mets. He made it, and the first baseman for the Diamondbacks, Christian Walker, didn't make it. And if you compare them side by side, Christian Walker has him beat in
Mhm.
every single category, every single statistic: home runs, RBIs, games played, every category you go down,
I
Christian
see.
Walker has him beat. So it's like, why did you choose Pete Alonso over that person?
Is it the type of
No,
thing
but
where a
what
player could
happens
say
is
no?
players get selected and they're
Do you think
injured,
they do that?
or they're not fully healthy, and they say, I'm not fully healthy. I'll go. I'm not going to
Uh,
play. So if you want to choose someone else to play, but I'll be there, in uniform and stuff to like sign autographs for fans, take pictures, things like that.
mhm.
If you've never watched the All-Star game, it is
Yeah,
pretty cool to watch because they
I
mic
see.
up players during the game. So yeah, so they talk to them during the game. They talk
I
to each
love
other
when
during
they
the
do that
game, and you
stuff.
can hear their conversation. So it is a cool thing to see. Um, some of the bigger names that didn't make it,
Oh.
our Orioles had Anthony Santander was supposed to make it. He didn't make it. And then our Angels guy, Luis Rengifo, he was a lead leaguer in average for
Mhm.
a long time, and he didn't make it. So it's tough to say these are the best players because, in my opinion, they're like we talked about Christian Walker, Luis Rengifo, and Anthony Santander. Those are three names that I thought for sure were on the list,
Mhm.
and turns out they weren't. Uh, now I'm curious on your opinion on this. So the All-Star game, it's considered the best players across the league. You have the American League, you have the National League, and they play against each other. Okay. The One of the rules is that every team
Mhm.
is guaranteed one player to make it. So there's at least one player that makes it. It doesn't matter how bad the team is. They could be the worst team in the league. They have at least one guy. Do you agree with this, or do you think it should just be the best players across the league?
Okay.
Because if you think about it,
Okay.
so I'll give an example. So the Oakland A's, they had Mason Miller make it. They're the worst team in the league by far. It's not even close. Mason Miller, he's been great. He's been a good player. Obviously been their best player. Do I think he
Mhm.
deserves a spot on the All-Star team? He's like right on the cusp, I he's good. but is he that good? But he took a spot
Mhm.
from someone else that some of these guys that we're naming, that could have
Yeah.
made it. So where's your opinion on this? Because it's a big topic.
I think because the thing that's throwing me off is the fact that you were talking about how people are now measuring the all-star team as, like, almost a statistic. M So that's what makes it hard is if,
Yeah.
like, you're talking about someone, they're like, "Oh, they haven't been on the all-star team." I feel like there's a lot of factors that go into it. From a fan's perspective and from someone that's not exactly involved, I think every team should be represented, at least one player. It and,
Yes.
like, the MLB, it'll bring in more
No, I
fans and
I
more
I
people
agree. I think
watching.
I think
I just think it's
an
smarter to have
MLB
at
from the
least one.
MLB's point of view, it's important to, include every team. Uh because like if someone's because I'm not gonna lie, All-Star game
Yeah.
tickets and traveling and things like that, it's in Texas this year, is extremely expensive. It's pricey, and fans go there for that, once in a lifetime experience to go see their favorite players. So go be at the All-Star game, be at the home run derby, things like that. I think it's important because if you have someone from Oakland that's,
Mhm.
making this trip to go be at the All-Star game and there's not a single guy there from your team, like you're an Oakland A's fan and there's not a single guy there from Oakland, like I'd be a little bummed out. Like the Angels, the
Yeah.
Angels have one guy. Does he deserve it? I think Renhefo deserves it over more than the guy who got selected,
Mhm.
Tyler Anderson. But you know, if I'm an Angels fan, I'm going to Texas. I'm flying all the way out there, and I'm, paying all this money to be. Yeah, I'd like to see one guy in an Angels uniform. I'd like to see at least one.
You wanna see your
So I get
yeah,
that side of it. The other part of me says
exactly.
I want the best guys there, and there's guys that deserve it that got snubbed out. And but I guess that's part of it. Like
Mhm.
if you let everybody in, then it means nothing. Then so it just kind of shows how hard it is to make an All-Star game. But part of the All-Star
Exactly.
game, and this is like the weekend of the All-Star, is the Home Run Derby, and they announced the 8 players in the Home Run Derby that will be participating. We do have a hometown homie, Gunnar Henderson, our shortstop for the Baltimore Orioles. And I am wearing my Orioles hat. Henderson will be competing. So you have Gunnar Henderson, Alec Boehm, Marcelo Zuna, Pete Alonso, Jose Ramirez, Bobby Witt, Adolis Garcia, and Teoscar Hernandez. Those are your 8 guys. Um, they changed it this year. So before they ranked them 1 through 8. Whoever had the most home runs up until now is 1, and whoever has the least home runs up until now is 8, right? And they go
Yeah.
head to head in like a bracket. Well, now the way it's going to work is all 8 guys are going to go. They're all
Yeah.
going to hit as many home runs as they can in 3 minutes. Boom, boom, boom. Uh, and then whoever the top 4 of the first round move on, and then the bottom 4 are eliminated. So it's no longer head to head. It's the top 4, and then those 4 are ranked 1 through 4
I
based on
see.
how they did in the first round. So the guy who hits the most in the first
Got it.
round is number 1. He will face number 4, and then 2 will face number 3.
Mhm.
So that I think that's a good. In my opinion, that's the better way to do it. You
Okay.
get the best guys. So who do you think wins it? So I'll give you a little
I
background.
agree.
We do have our hometown homie Gunnar Henderson. He is in it. Pete Alonso.
Okay.
Now he's one of those names that we talked about,
Mhm.
uh, who probably didn't deserve to be on the team, but he's now on it. He's the first player in history to compete in 5 home run derbies in a row. So he's competed in the last 4. This will be his 5th, and he
Wow.
is the reigning champ. He's won it twice. He won it last year, and then he won it 3 years ago. Uh, another
Okay.
another tidbit. So Marcelo Zuna and Adolis Garcia are the biggest guys. They're the the most yoked by far, not even close. Uh, Bobby Witt
Mhm.
in 2018,
Yeah.
he won the home run derby for
Okay.
the national high school competition. So in of every player in the high school, he won the home run derby in 2018. So he's got
Okay.
some experience. Oh, good question. So
Is
first
Bobby
home run
Witt, is
derby
this
for
his
Bobby Witt,
first home run
for Gunnar
derby in that?
Henderson, for Alec
Okay.
Boehm. I believe Garcia did it last year. Teoscar Hernandez has never done it. And this is the first one for Jose Ramirez. Now, something about Jose Ramirez, he's probably the best player of all of them.
Mhm.
Um, but he is probably the
Yeah.
oldest in the field.
Okay.
He's the oldest one. So who are you going with? I'll take you go with two names and I'll go with my
Got it.
two picks. But go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
So there's one.
obviously, I want our Orioles to do well, so
Yes.
I'm gonna pick Gunnar Henderson just because
It's
I think
Wit.
it'll be fun
Wit.
to see. And then I don't know why, but something about Bobby
So
Fit
you're gonna
is, or
okay,
was it
so
Witt?
you're gonna go with the
Bobby
two.
Witt
So
is intriguing me,
it's
and
interesting that
I
you
hope
pick
he
these two
does
names
well.
because Bobby Witt is a shortstop for the Royals and Gunnar Henderson is a shortstop for the Orioles. They were both drafted the same year.
Mhm.
They were both they both
Yeah.
started in the league at the same time. So everyone's
Okay.
comparing these two. And Gunnar Henderson
Oh,
is number two in the MVP voting, and Bobby Witt is number three in the MVP voting. So they're
okay.
right. They're really cool. Like they're a lot of people say they're like the same player.
Okay, wait,
So
now I'm
good picks. I
excited.
like those picks. I'm going with. I think it'll be Adolis Garcia. When
Okay.
you see this guy, his muscles pop out. Yeah, he looks like the Hulk. His muscles just like pop out of his
That's
jersey.
one of the
So I'm
big
going to
dudes, yeah,
Adolis
okay.
Garcia, and I'm also going with Bobby Witt. Bobby Witt has that high school. He's won it before in high school. I don't think it'll be Pete
Okay.
Alonso, even though he's won it a couple times. I like a newbie. I like the newbie. So I'm going to Adolis Garcia or Bobby Witt. Those are my two picks. Sleeper is Jose Ramirez.
Mhm.
The dude's got some pop. He's really small, but he's got some pop. So we'll see. It'll be fun to watch. Home Run Derby is incredible. It's one of the best events there is. All right, real quick, your power rankings, and then we'll do our final question.
Okay. For my power ranking this week, I haven't looked at these stats in
Okay,
a while, so I
cool.
decided to go with the classic. This is just based off runs scored. So number 10, I have the Padres. 9, I have the Astros. 8 is the Guardians. 7 is the Brewers. 6 is the Phillies. 5 is the Diamondbacks. 4 is the Twins.
Okay. So you've
3
got a
is
lot
the
of teams in there
Dodgers.
that are the
2
same as what
Orioles,
I
and
have.
number 1 is the
Number
Yankees.
10 for me, I do have the Twins as well. The Twins are
Mhm.
hot. They're scorching hot, and they're catching the Guardians. So the Twins could be dangerous come October. Number 9, I do have the Mariners. Now the Mariners, it's interesting. They're in first place, but they have the worst batting average of any team, but they're in first place. So the Mariners, I think they need to step it up on offense a little bit to be a little
Okay.
better, but they are
Yeah.
pretty good. 8, I do have the San Diego Padres. The Padres are sneaky. They're winning games, and I think the Padres are going to make a big move in the trade deadline here coming up. 7, I still have the Braves. The Braves are they're always going to be good. They have dealt with injuries this year, but they got a couple younger guys coming up that are making some noise. 6, I have the Brewers. I don't really know how the Brewers keep winning games, but they do. I don't think they're that good, and they're probably going to get beat in the playoffs relatively early, is my guess. 5, I have the Yankees. The Yankees are struggling. They're really struggling. You know, they started off really hot. They're really cold. They're going into the All Star break. They'll probably turn it around when they come back, but they're struggling right now. But Aaron Judge, he just keeps hitting home runs. Like I don't know how. Like he's got like 30 some odd home runs, and it's almost the All Star break. Uh, 4, I have the Dodgers. Dodgers are also struggling and they're injured. Everybody's hurt on the Dodgers. 3, I have the Guardians. They're starting to slide a little bit, and the Twins are starting to catch them, but they're still really good. Two, I had the Phillies. The Phillies are the best team in the National League and the first team to get to 60 wins on the season. So congrats to them. They're awesome, and I hope if the Angels trade Trout, they trade him to the Phillies because there's a lot of talk that he might get traded, but I hope he goes to the Phillies because they're fun to watch. And number one, I have our Orioles. That's why I wore my hat here. The Orioles are good, and they are going to make some noise. I can
Mm.
feel it. They're young, they're fast, they hit for power, and they just need some pitching help, and they are going to be amazing. So Orioles are number one. All right, Delaney. As always, we finish every episode off with a final question. So we are going to uh, kick this off. What would you say
Mhm.
in any sport is the best All-Star game tradition? So I'm going to throw some out there for you. Obviously, we talked about the home run derby. So much fun to watch and such a cool thing.
Okay.
But the NBA, they have the dunk contest. They do that. The NFL, they do like the skills gauntlet is what they call it, and like the passing stuff. The hockey does the mini games where the hardest slap shot and things like that. So what would you say is the best All-Star game tradition since we're here at the All-Star break?
The home run derby is a classic, I think. Um, but I don't know why. I really like when they do the dunk contest.
Really? Because it's
Or yeah, I would say the dunk contest is my favorite.
yeah, it is. It
I
is.
just
I
feel
feel
like
like the dunk
everyone like
contest has
gets
come
so excited. I don't know. I
has
think it's
become
fun to
so
watch.
repetitive because there's only so many dunks you can do, you know? So it's like it's almost to the point where like
Yeah.
we've seen everything. Like there's nothing
Yeah,
new.
I agree. Maybe they just need to add like a new element. Like when the players are
Whoa,
dunking,
little
like
little
fans can like
obstacle.
throw like beach
Okay,
balls
that's
at them
fair.
or
You're
something.
right. The
Make it a
dunk
little
contest
harder.
is a classic, and it's one of
Yeah.
those things. It's really cool to see. But like I said, it's gotten to the point where I feel like we've seen everything. The home run derby
Mhm.
is by far the most unbelievable like thing that you can go see. I think in person. Um, but I don't know if you know this. So the MLS
Mhm.
used to do this thing called the goalie wars, where two goalies would try to score at each other, and like the goals are like
Yep.
I don't know 200 feet apart or whatever, and it was so cool. It was so cool. They stopped doing it, and I don't really know why, but it
Mhm.
was it was one of the coolest events that I see. And then the NHL's got some cool mini games as well. But I think the home run derby is by far the number one. Uh, the NFL has started playing dodgeball, which dodgeball is very close to my heart, which is very fun because I played dodgeball back in high school. But
Uh,
I was yeah, so the all-star teams they play dodgeball against each other
I didn't
at
know the NFL did that.
the Pro Bowl weekend or whatever they call it. So that's kind of fun to watch. I think that's pretty cool.
I imagine getting hit by a dodgeball in
Like
general,
Patrick
like,
Mahomes.
kinda stings a little. Imagine it being from,
Or
like,
I want to see the
an
baseball
all-star
players do it. Can you
quarterback
imagine
throwing that
freaking
ball.
some of the pitchers come up
Yeah.
there and just slinging that thing? Uh, but yeah,
Oh,
that the
yeah,
dodgeball
yeah.
thing is pretty cool. It's fun to watch. So, but for me, it's the Hummer Derby. It's not even close. That's got to be it. All right. That concludes our episode from the Bronco and the Pig. Next week we will talk about the All Star Game. The All Star Game will be next week. The draft is this weekend. We will also dive. I keep saying dive in. We will talk about the pool games in the Olympics, all the pool events. Uh, and then obviously baseball will continue to roll on, NBA and we will have Euro and Copa America champions, so we'll get a better idea of how 2024, the year of the favorite's going to go. So tune in as always. Go watch sports, go love sports, and then come back and talk about sports with Bronco and the Pig. Peace.